What's going on, everyone? I'm Keegs, and I am here again with Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking about the hardest or most difficult bosses in the game. And this is going to be taken from the perspective of someone just starting the game, fresh playthrough. Who are you going to have the most difficulty with, or who we had the most difficulty against? Not necessarily, oh yeah, all Act 3 bosses should be harder than Act 1 bosses. You're stronger, so they might feel easier. But this is like, in the actual playthrough, what did we struggle with the most, and where were our hangups, and what do we think are the most difficult bosses? So we're going to be starting off in the order of what you're kind of supposed to play through, or at least the Act 1 bosses, then we'll move into Act 2, and then Act 3. So starting off, the first boss that everyone's going to face is Moth Mother. Yeah, so what do you think, Ben? Where are you putting this very first boss? Pretty much a tutorial boss.
It wasn't hard, but it wasn't like you didn't have to pay attention at all. It was a good first introductory boss.
I think so too. You were just learning the moveset too, so that could have played an important role.
Yeah, I would say easy.
Yeah, easy's not bad. I would say if you've played a Souls game before, or definitely like Hollow Knight previously, it goes in the easy category. But I could see it moving up to like not hard if this is your first introduction to a Souls like Metroidvania.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. If it's like your first video game ever, probably every boss is going to feel insurmountable.
Yeah, I would think that's a fair point. The second boss we have is the Bell Beast.
I died a couple times.
I did too.
I'm also really bad at these games, so relative to the people that I see playing, or like, because I've seen playthroughs of people just like one tap half the bosses.
Yeah, some bosses are easy to everybody.
Yeah, most people. I would say I'd put it in not very hard. It was definitely harder than Lost Mother, but it wasn't like super hard.
Yeah, no, same exact thoughts. It wasn't very hard. Took me a few tries, but there wasn't anything super complicated about it. The run back was pretty easy, so it wasn't even frustrating. So I would say it wasn't very hard, but generally a good fight.
The one thing that I died to a lot on this, well, not a lot, but the one thing I died to most on this boss was just the one where it would jump out on the sides, because it could do one of two moves. It could do the one where it like flings itself through the air or run through.
Yeah.
So like I'm really impatient, so I would just be there ready to hit it, and if it happened to do the wrong one, I would just take damage and die. But once you realize that you should wait a second and see what it's gonna do, it's very easy to react to. But,
yeah, for sure. I mean, this is trying to teach you a little bit about patience with the game, I think, and I think it does a good job at that, because if you're going to be too aggressive, then you're going to get hit because you're not exactly sure what the next move is going to be. But the third boss on the list is Lace. I love this boss, but I don't think she was very hard. I think she was not very hard, but I had so much fun, but I just didn't think she was like that hard.
Yeah, especially, I know we're talking about with regard to a first playthrough, but on a second playthrough, because you fight her 2 more times after this, it's like, oh my god, it feels like she's moving in slow motion.
I could definitely see that. It was pretty easy on the first playthrough, I thought, to react to her. She had like super obvious tells most of the time on what she was going to do.
Yeah.
And even the times where
you got a few seconds.
Yeah. And even the times where she would like jump up and had 2 potential different routes she could take, I felt like because she was going slow-ish in the scheme of things, that it really wasn't that hard to dodge, unlike maybe her next fight where she gets a little bit more complicated.
I agree. I have more to say about it in the second and third, especially the third one, but
yeah,
definitely agree. So far, we're in lockstep.
Yes, we are. I think it'll get more interesting the further we get into this. I think some of the beginning bosses are a little bit more tutorial-esque, and that's why they kind of land in a similar location.
Yes.
But going on, I think fourth chorus is next, and if you know the trick to this boss, he's a joke. So if you don't know the trick, he might be a little harder. What do you think?
I'd put him in very easy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just if I had to fight fourth course before Moss Mother, fourth course is definitely harder. But relative to where it is in the game, and like you were playing the hardest sections of the game so far, and then you fight fourth chorus, and it's like spectacle wise makes sense to be where it is, but it has like 2 moves, and then the end of the fight is like a puzzle thing, like a simple puzzle. Like you just go up, you float up, and you hit the rocks down on him. Yeah,
but, so I didn't struggle. I didn't die to him at all. So to me,
I first tried him. I wouldn't say it was like, for me, a joke is like, I didn't have to engage with this at all. I turned my brain completely off. I mean, maybe that's not a fair standard, because maybe then no boss would be in the joke category for me, because you have to pay attention a little bit in every fight.
Yeah, anything could kill you. But I find gimmick bosses a little jokey, personally.
Do you consider this a gimmick boss? I've heard that before, because I know how you kill it is technically like a puzzle, but like up to that point, it's kind of a normal fight, right?
No, I consider it a gimmick boss, because there's like one mechanic that just essentially takes it out. And if you know the mechanic, the fight is trivialized.
Can you even beat the fight without doing that?
Yeah, you can.
I actually don't know.
You can do enough damage to it to kill him.
Oh.
But you'd be there
I didn't
forever
know that.
whacking away at his face. So
I mean, it's not subtle. I mean, because I think we both one-tapped it, so we both noticed it right away.
Yeah.
And I don't feel smart for knowing that. It's not like
it was placed right after you got the ability to soar up into the air. So when you saw those streams, I feel like it was fresh on your mind of what to do.
Yeah. You know what would have been cool, actually, since we're on the topic of that, is if they utilized the soar more in fights. Like, it is useful in a lot of other fights, but it's never like, there's never like jet streams.
Yeah.
Or like that kind of stuff.
I feel like that could have been fun. Like, I feel like they could have had more environmental stuff in some of the bosses that allowed you to do that, because they put it in here and there with this fight, and then honestly kind of like it was almost another joke fight, but the Father of the Flame type situation where
that was a gimmick fight. Yeah. Like, to me, that is like through and through, that's a gimmick fight.
For sure. But we'll save him for Act 2 stuff. So going on, Sister Splinter. I think this is the first boss for me that I actually like started to struggle with. I thought that she was in the hard category mostly because of the ads that she would spawn. So I think I'm gonna have to put her in the hard category. I think at the time I died to her a few times for sure. The run back was not necessarily hard, but it was kind of long.
It was the most annoying one up until that point. It's funny because I fought Savage Beastfly before I fought her.
Really?
Yeah, I fought that boss, like, and that's part of the reason it might be where it is on my difficulty list. But sure. I fought it before Sister Splinter and before Widow.
Oh, wow.
But after Belby's Lace and Fourth Chorus.
Wow, yeah, I fought her, I think, right after Lace. I fought her before Fourth Chorus, too, so...
Did you really?
Yeah.
When you say her, are you talking about Savage Beastfly or Sister Splinter?
Splinter. And I think Savage Beastfly, too. I don't think I had the sword when I fought the Beastfly.
No, I didn't either. Well, no, I did, because you need it to get to Hunter's March, so you must have.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm
pretty sure you need it.
Could be.
Yeah, so you did, but...
I feel like if there was more stuff in the fight with jet streams and stuff, that could have been fun and gave you a fun aerial aspect to more of the combat rather than just jumping and pogoing off of enemies, especially in fights where there were no walls or the walls were hazards like spikes or something.
Yeah, there's a fight later that feels like perfect for it that they didn't use it for, so...
Yeah.
Not like a real criticism, just like, oh, this thing could have been even better than it already was.
Yeah. Where are you putting it?
Yeah, Sister Splinter for me is also hard. It was the first fight I really, like, struggled on.
Yeah, and you had to figure it out?
For a while. I probably did it in, like, 5-ish tries, which maybe is a lot to some people, but to me that's, like, nothing, because the hardest bosses are, like, my hand is still cramped up.
I think it took me more than 5. I think it was probably, like 10 tries for me, for her. I just... The ads that had those, like, they spun and it was super hard to get
hate those ads,
especially when the arena was closing in. I know you can hit the branches away and break them, but sometimes you don't really have time to be, I don't know, sitting there whacking away at the tree trunks trying to clear more room in the arena.
Yeah, this boss is good at making you panic, even though, like, the moves aren't that hard to dodge or anything, but, like, the way that the vines come down with the thorns and then the enemies pop out, it, like, makes you panic, especially for where it is in the game. I think it's a pretty good fight, though, and it's appropriately difficult for where it is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. After that on the list, though, we're going to Widow. Where do you got her?
Very hard, for sure.
Yes, I am definitely in agreement. I struggled with this boss fight quite a bit. The first phase I got really good at, and I thought it was super fun. The second phase kicked my butt for so long that I definitely struggled hardcore at the end of the second phase of this fight.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else felt this way, but I felt like the bells when they were coming out that fast were hard to see, at least for me.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
were.
if it's
They
like a
blended in
visual
kind of
thing,
to
or...
the background because everything was on the same color palette, I think. Plus, the way the lighting worked, it almost was a double-edged sword, I felt like, where they would have lights come out to tell you where the bells were going to be shooting out from, but sometimes it just looked like part of the arena, and it was a little hard to see, so it felt like the bells would come out of nowhere sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Even with like the strand of silk that would tell you the direction that it's coming from. For some, I felt it was difficult to see sometimes. So that made it harder. I think it still would have been like, I'd still put it in the very hard category, even accounting for that.
I think they needed to like adjust the contrast a little bit on the background and the foreground,
or at least have like an accessibility feature that
allows you
the
to
contrast
turn
of those elements, because I could see somebody who's like colorblind or just like doesn't have perfect vision, like struggling with that. That's a feature that I would have really appreciated. But like I died a lot just because I couldn't see it.
I could definitely see that. I also felt that this was one of the first fights where a lot of the attacks seemed to be able to overlap, and there wasn't a way to get out of it sometimes with how the bells would bounce. And then, like, when the boss was moving towards you, it felt like it created scenarios sometimes that put you in positions that were very difficult to get out of.
Yeah, this is kind of the first boss that you really notice this with, and this is really in retrospect because it didn't teach me at the time. But that, like, I think a lot of the bosses in this game want you to hit that sweet spot between being aggressive and also patient.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird like equilibrium between the two. Because if you're too aggressive, you're gonna get hit a lot. Unless you just have insanely fast reflexes.
Yeah.
But if you're too patient, you're not gonna get enough damage, and you're just gonna lose the war of attrition against the boss.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the first boss that I think was trying to teach you that, but it's kind of like a hard tell, and I don't even know if it was designed that way on purpose.
Yeah.
It just feels like that's the way that a lot of the bosses want you to engage with them.
I agree. There's some other bosses that I think embody this even more, but because the recovery window is pretty short, I think, you could end up kind of getting hit twice. So like if it's doing 2 masks and you get hit and then a bell comes out at the same time that you get hit from the boss, then you could get hit immediately again for like 4 masks of damage. And there are some other fights that I struggled a lot more with that specific thing, but I think that was something that happened in a lot of bosses, which made it feel like they hit a lot harder than they do when you can get hit twice so quickly because you have very few
I'm not a big
iframes.
fan of like the hit you into something else and get hit by it. Like even if it's the same thing as like 2 masks of damage, it feels really bad for that to happen. This happens on a later fight very easily,
and I think that makes it frustrating and makes it feel like they're hitting for even more damage than they actually are.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when they're doing like 2 masks, then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can cut what I'm about to say out. I think for the order here, we should put them in order in each tier, because there can only be like 1 boss in hardest, right? Or like, I guess you can have a few, but it would be helpful like to, I think, have them in order left to right.
You mean like ranking them like this, right?
Yeah, so it's like, in this case, I wanted to say it before we got too far, because Lace would be the one that we switch. Probably, right? Like Lace was harder than Bell Beast. Yeah.
I'll just go back to the part in the video where we're talking about Lace, and I'll say, and I think Lace was harder than Bell Beast, so we'll put her up there. Yeah. What do you think?
For me too. Yeah.
Although that's not going to make much sense in the video now that I think about it, because the other bosses are in here.
It'll be fine. You could do like a cut in like future us. We decided later in the video that they should be in order, left to right
of who's harder than who. Fuck, I'll just put that in there. Moving on, we have the last judge, who the internet religiously told me that this was a female character, and I was referring to them as a he. So, how did you find her?
Are we supposed to know? Like to me, it was like not clear, but maybe I'm being dumb.
No, it's I didn't recognize it, but apparently it's a female. Maybe there's some bug anatomy that I don't know about.
I guess like the top half looks more. I don't know. Like I feel like we're talking about bugs now, and it's weird. But okay. I mean, the voice is kind of feminine, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put this in hardest because, and I'm just going to assume that we could put more than 1 boss in hardest.
Yeah, sure. It's the hardest level of bosses, the hardest tier of bosses.
Yeah, the thing about this is if it was just the fight, I'd probably just put it in very hard. But because it's the first run back that like could make you possibly want to quit the game.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I feel like it did make you want to do that at one point.
And the explosion at the end, oh my god.
That's not hard. That's just mean.
It would have been funny if there was a bench right next to it, or like it still counted. But the fact that like he's like, no, you have to do the run back again and fight the boss again.
You know what's funny about that too is it doesn't count for this boss, but there is another boss that does the explosion, which is Father of the Flame, and it does count if you beat it and die to that explosion. Because I died to that explosion. Yeah, and it counted for me. I went back assuming that I would have to fight it again, and I didn't. It was dead.
See, inconsistent. Yeah, this boss is really hard. It's so sick. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm putting
this
it in
almost
very
feels
hard,
like a penultimate boss of the entire game.
I mean,
yeah, I'm factoring in the run back too here.
The run back.
I was stuck here for like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, this is a very hard boss. To me, it's not the hardest I had, and I feel like maybe my enjoyment of the boss contributed to me not feeling like it was as hard, but that run back did really suck. But I felt that the boss's moveset was pretty fair, so it felt good, and the difficulty that I had with it was maybe a little harder on a couple other bosses.
I agree. There are other bosses that are harder. It's just, for me, it's the first one where I'm like...
No, I mean, like, relative to at the time for you, I definitely think that it sounds like this was one of your more difficult challenges.
Yeah, I also do think it's harder than quite a few Act 3 bosses, but...
yeah, I think so too.
Even without the run back. But I think really good fight. Like, the whole vibe, the aesthetic, the flame, one of the best bosses in the game, if it were not for the run back.
Yeah, I agree. So, moving on, we have the Savage Beastfly. So where are you putting that one?
Okay, like, so if I were to like go back, like this would probably just be in hard, but I'm putting this in hardest, which might sound psychopathic, but one, it was kind of like the first annoying-ish run back that I did.
Yeah.
But also, annoying. I was stuck here for a while.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and I don't know if it was this boss or maybe the last judge, or could be a boss later, but my left hand still hurts.
That's funny.
From playing this game, and I was stuck here for like 3 hours, I want to say. Like, I had a harder time with Savage Beastfly than the last judge, like, which is really insane. It was one of those bosses that just like floats around, and I didn't feel like when it would dash across the screen, like, wasn't always clear if you could jump over it or if you needed to stay under it, and like, and then the ads that it would randomly spawn, sometimes you could get lucky with the RNG.
I'm going in hardest as well. I have the same viewpoints. The RNG, depending on what bugs it called out, it could be so easy or so hard. Some of the little crawly ones on the floor were super easy to like avoid, but then when it called out the ones that could spin and do crazy damage and block all of your attacks, you had 2 or 3 of those
like
out.
A portion of the screen.
Yeah, the arena wasn't very big to begin with, so they could fill up the screen very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what the hell? And the reward you get for it, the Beast Crest looks cool, but I feel like it's not good.
Sucks.
And maybe like some professional Silksong.
Some people are good with it, and I'm like,
able to say otherwise.
It would have taken me so long just to get like marginally proficient with that crest.
Yeah, and at that point, like, that's kind of a broader problem I have with the crest system, but that's neither here nor there for this video. But yeah, it didn't even feel worth it to do it. I was doing a second playthrough and I just didn't even bother because I was like, I don't.
Yeah, you get nothing.
And it'd probably be much easier. But it's like out of the way too.
Do you know if you don't do this Savage Beastfly, do you meet him again? Like, does he show up?
I haven't gotten that far in my second playthrough.
Yeah. I wonder. I would say no, right? You would probably have to beat him first for the second one to show up, I would think.
I would think so, but I'm not 100% sure because the second one comes about as like a side quest, but it might be that you need to do this one to unlock that quest. So
that's true.
Not sure. Yeah, didn't have a good time here at all. It's the first bad instance of like the bullshit contact damage.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
And this is one of the first fights where it does that thing that I was just talking about with Widow, where you could get hit twice in a row so easily. If it flies under you and hits you, and you're still falling, it's been a split second. And then it turns
around and just floats into you.
I know.
It's so annoying. This is the one where I'm like, okay, if the enemies know that contact damage can hurt you, there needs to be a tell 4 movement. They can't just float into you.
Yeah.
Now, There is a tool that makes this a lot easier, but again, I think especially early in the game, I don't think that the tool system incentivizes you to really use it because it uses the shard system, and I'm not going to sit there and grind in a single player game. It's already annoying in an MMO. Maybe some people enjoy that. But to me, like, it just... Yes, the tools do make it a lot easier, significantly so. To the point, like, if you're using the tool, I would put this boss in, like, not very hard. But
yeah, I definitely wasn't using tools on this. And because you fight it at the beginning of the game, because, like you said, resources are hard to come by the end of the game, I was using tools very liberally. But at the beginning, your resources are so low, and they cost so much to use these things, that it just doesn't feel worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand why someone would not have this as hard, or why they might even really like this boss. Because for them, it could be like an aha moment of using this particular tool. The one that's particularly good in this is the one that you get from the Forge Daughter, that you'd like throw in the air, and it like... Yeah,
the spikes that
hits
fly
them
out. Yeah,
it spikes when they run into it. That's really good in this fight, because it's good crowd control, and it does good damage.
There are so many tools that would make this easier, but...
Yeah. That's one of the ones that you can actually get by this point.
Yeah, true.
So I understand why people would enjoy it for that, but for me, like, not only was this really hard, like, I had a bad time.
Yeah, I was frustrated and it was difficult. The ultra annoyance.
Yeah, the ultra, like, fortunately it's not, but it's just like...
Yeah, moving on, going to easier tides, I think, here with a Skull Tyrant. So I would say probably for me, and I feel like I fought this in Act 2, so it was like a little later for me, but he was pretty easy. I'd say very easy for me.
Yeah, I'd also put him there. He's really easy, and it's funny because when he moves, whether or not he's going to jump or just run into you, he has a very clear tell.
Yeah, so it was...
I don't know why they wanted to do that for this fight.
Couldn't do it for Beastfly, but oh yeah, the Skull Tyrant gave you a clear tell.
Like this boss honestly could have been like with Moss Mother as a tutorial boss. I think Moss Mother's probably better for that, but
I think Moss Mother's harder.
Also does like that. I would hesitate to even call this a boss. I'm really only doing it because the Silksong wiki lists it as a boss.
Are you? It's easier than fourth chorus for you.
Oh yeah. I actually died to this once because I was like not respecting it at all, but not because it was harder. I think fourth course demands more review.
Yes, fourth course at least has a lava on the ground.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the Moss Mother second fight.
Is that really the second in your list?
Yeah.
I don't think you could. Can you even fight that until Act 2?
We put it on the list last time as this is where I literally have pulled up our
the same one. Oh, yeah. I pulled up a different wiki time. But that's fine. We could do this one. I would also put this in easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder than Moss Mother, but
I think relatively to when you fight it, it's easier. I have so many more tools and so much more at my disposal to fight the two of them that I don't think it's
I might have died once but I did not do... Actually, maybe I did. I think I just... Sometimes I died to the easier bosses because I just didn't respect them and just died to, like, dumb things because I wasn't paying attention.
You're getting too bold.
I'm gonna put it as harder than Moss Mother 1, but I understand why you would put it as easier.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really funny in like a thumbnail. Two of them is easier than one of them.
Yeah. We have the Great Conchflies.
This was kind of like the first dance fight. I guess the first lace fight is also, but this fight was sick. I think we went over how cool it was in the other video, but I think I'd probably put this in not very hard. I didn't struggle with this that much.
Harder than Lace?
It's definitely harder than Lace and Bell Beast, but
yeah,
I think I struggled more on Sister Splinter than I did on Conchfly.
I did too. I did struggle more on Sister Splinter, but I think it was hard enough to be put in the hard category. There's a lot going on, and it can pretty easily stump you, I feel like, with everything coming out the ground and fighting two of these things at the same time. So, yeah. I think there was enough to be tricky.
Do you know if they share a health bar or not? I imagine like this fight could take way longer if they don't, and you don't know that.
I feel like they don't share a health bar, but I could
be Clockwork Dancers don't.
Yeah, I feel like they do not share a health bar.
So if you know that going in, which you won't because it'll be your first time, then it could take even longer. It could be even harder.
Also, it's hard to tell. Like you'll lose track, I feel like, of which one you've been hitting. So you just kind of hit wherever you get the opportunity to, is at least how I played it. I wasn't specifically trying to go for one of the two. I was just going for whatever
Yeah,
the open
I wasn't
opportunity
either.
was.
And I just fought this in my second playthrough, and I didn't do that either.
Yeah.
Still, really good fight. I think this is a fun encounter, and I feel bad because I'm like, oh, were they like a couple?
I think they
mates?
were lovers.
And then we killed one of them.
Yeah.
But granted, they attacked us and trapped us in a room, so
True. The internet also corrected me, saying they weren't siblings, that they were lovers. So
I felt bad for putting Seth at the bottom because I understand that the story behind why he was included in the game, and I think that's beautiful, and I'm glad that they did that. And I just hated the fight so much, and all the comments were like, "Nah, you're wrong," which it's
there was
understandable.
a few people that didn't like him too. You weren't the only person. There were a couple people that was like, "I totally agree with Ben on everything."
I think I did preface it with like, it could be that I'm just ass, but no pun intended.
All right, we got next the Phantom, and for as much as I loved this fight, I thought it was pretty easy. I think it's like the hardest version of an easy fight.
You think it's easier than Bell Beast though?
I died more
even
to Bell
relative
Beast.
to where it was.
I only died to Phantom like once or twice, but Bell Beast got
I agree.
me like a handful of times, I feel like. And relative to where it is, right? This is a first playthrough. You don't have the muscle memory yet for Bell Beast. You're still learning the controls. So I think Bell Beast for me was more difficult than Phantom, because at least where I fought Phantom in the game, I thought she was a lot easier than some of the other things, because I was so much better with the controls by that point. Though I do know there's a route, which is a pretty insane route, that you can take to skip the last judge and instead go through the mist and fight Phantom, and that would be ridiculously hard, I feel like, if you were at the beginning of the game. I think she would have been very hard if you fought her early into the playthrough.
There's no way on a first playthrough that you would think to do that though. Like the game is routing you through blasted steps.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you've convinced me. I'll also put her in easy because like it only took me like you know what? No, I'm gonna put her above Lace and Bell Beast, under Conchflies.
Right here.
Actually, so I'm trying to remember. Like I remember it not being that hard, but it did take me tries. But the problem is that I wasn't frustrated at all at this fight.
Yeah, and
so,
then part
like,
of it is because it's
like,
so epic feeling and sounding, but like the difficulty, I think, of this fight does not match how awesome it is.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like all the moves are so well telegraphed and they give you enough time to respond to them that there's no frustration with this fight. Like I've never got caught out in a really way that like pissed me off.
Yeah, there was nothing that ever happened that you were like, no, what the heck, game? Everything that you got hit on in this fight, you were like, yeah, I probably should have moved.
Recollecting how difficult this was is hard because I don't remember it being hard because I was never frustrated. I think, you know what, I'm going to put it above Conchflies. I feel like I died to this more than every boss under it, but it didn't annoy me at any point. So, yeah, like, but I see why you would put it easy. I think that's valid too.
Yeah. And then the last one that we have for Act 1 is a Moorwing. I feel like this one
This boss is weird because it can be harder or easier depending on when you fought it.
I know. In my first playthrough, he was not very hard because I fought him a little later because I went with the fleas to Bellheart or whatever. And then when we got there, I did all of that before I even went to the other side of the map. So it wasn't that bad.
I would put this in hard for when I fought it.
I think more people.
So I didn't get the Flea Caravan when I first went. So
harder than Sister Splinter.
Yeah, for me it was pretty hard.
I know a lot of people struggled on this boss, and I think if I had fought it at the same time that you did, I would have put this as a much harder fight.
Yeah, you see, I was not being very observant my first playthrough, so I did not get to Greymoor with my with the Flea Caravan. So I just got there just by stumbling upon it.
Yeah.
And also has like, it's not a hard run back, but it's annoying.
Yeah.
I think you have to run all the way back from like the safe house.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you fight it after the Flea Caravan, the bench is like right there. Like it's literally right
even
next
easier.
to it. So,
which, you know, I actually think is cool design. You get an easier fight if you're doing the exploring, which makes sense because that's kind of how
the game
incentivizes you to engage with it anyway. Like if you're having too hard of a time, go explore someone else, and that's almost always true. And this boss is a really good example of that. I don't think it's like a frustrating fight. It is pretty hard though if you fight it early enough.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. But I think that's going to wrap it up for Act 1 bosses. So let us know, who do you think was the hardest Act 1 boss, who was the easiest and who was just a straight up joke. This is Keegs and Ben signing off. We'll talk to you guys in the next video talking about the hardest bosses in Act 2.